This was happening. The internet was being developed and things like that. Back around 20-25 years, some small communities started getting together. These guys call themselves hackers or makers. They started in various parts of the world, and they could collaborate across borders and share their knowledge. And that's what happens in a community. When you build a community, the best part about it is the knowledge base and the access to different people and equipment and various other things to help you create your prototypes, things like that. Going forward, a lot more of these communities have started coming up lately, and that's what pretty much initiated the Maker movement. So now that we have all this going on, how can we leverage it to create prototypes? In a community like this, you have a lot of early adopters, because this is the field of early adopters. Maker movement is all about early adopters. Okay, sorry, the slide is working. I'm going to stand a little on the side. And the network is the most resourceful thing that you would get from a community. Access to equipment, because obviously it doesn't make sense for everyone to have all sorts of expensive equipment. So when you're a part of a community, you have access to all sorts of equipment that you wouldn't probably have otherwise. And then you can also quickly ideate and test your idea in your peer members of the community and get validation right away and work towards making it and build faster. So basically prototyping is a quick iterative process. And you can also crowdsource your designs. So if you don't know how to do something, you can use the crowd or the community to crowdsource them and have other people work on it. That's the beautiful parts about the community. And what's making this possible? Digital manufacturing tools today, like the laser cutter, the 3D printer, or the CNC machine. These machines are now quite inexpensive than they were earlier. So now it's much more affordable for communities to own them. And while communities are owning them, it's much easier to send digital bits rather than atoms. I'm sure you guys, so this was only possible in terms of software earlier, but now it's possible in terms of hardware. So you can physically send one device or one physical prototype to another country altogether in a matter of minutes and have it be functioning. And that's what we did pretty much with INETRA. This was the company that I used to work for about 2 years. It started off with the MIT Media Labs. I was there for about a year, and then we planned to do some test trials in India. So they sent me to India. I was doing the design process of the device. While I was doing the design over here, these guys were sitting over there and developing more of the hardware and the software. So I could quickly and easily modify the design in India and create a prototype using a 3D printer. And these guys would do the same thing in the US, test it out in the US market while I was testing it out in India. So things like this have only been possible today because of the internet and because of digital manufacturing. The borders are much shorter, and the communities and the equipment is much more accessible. So taking it a step forward from prototype, successful startups out of that. A lot of hardware startups are utilizing these makerspaces for their equipment, because in the early stages, it's really, really important to be able to test your idea before you actually invest into the equipment and start producing in-house. So that's where the makerspaces come into play. Some of the famous ones, we talked about it earlier today, the Pebble Watch. It's a smart watch, raised $10 million in Kickstarter. They started out from a makerspace out of New York, about an hour away from New York. And they made their first couple of prototypes over there, and then they went off and they started creating their own, they set up their own lab and started making more prototypes and manufacturing after that. Another one of my favorites is the Stompy robot. I don't know if any of you have heard of this, but this is a really crazy project that started off from a makerspace right outside of Boston, where I was actually a part of this project for a couple of months. And what these guys thought was they wanted to build a robot that you could sit on and ride, and maybe have flights through. And they started making it. They raised a Kickstarter campaign again, crowdsourced the idea, the community built it, and now it's creating a new industry altogether, an industry for fighting robots that you can sit down and fight. It's amazing. So it just came out of a simple idea of these crazy guys, and now it's completely creating a new industry, and there are more than 4 of them being manufactured as we speak right now. There are many more like that. So one of them, even INETRA, the company that I work for, also uses a makerspace for most of its prototyping needs in Boston. While we have our own facilities, but we are always a part of the community, because the community is a great place to go and test out immediately when you come up with an idea. Over here in India, we're making this happen. We want to change the way we build stuff in India. we want to, by leveraging the maker movement, and we want to collaborate between industries. So currently existing industries out there, like we have a lot of small patch shops in small little areas in Mumbai and things like that. We want to collaborate with all of those. We want to make a nice network of distributed manufacturing over here and create that, and at the same time offer everyone who has an idea to come over there and use the space. That's us. Get in touch with us if you want. makeitisalem.com and that will shout out. Thank you. Any questions?
Any roadmap for setting up something similar in Bangalore?
In Bangalore, actually, somebody is setting up something similar. Pawan Kumar, they're trying to set up workbench projects, which is a little more towards the tech shop kind. So it's a little more, going a little more towards a fab lab kind of an approach, where they're setting up the equipment, but you can use that. But eventually, once we started it out about a year back, like I said. So we're right now in our testing periods. We're figuring out how things work, how we can make the community more sustainable. So it's not dependent on funding and things like that. Rather, the people are using it and creating it. So once that happens, yes, of course, Bangalore, Delhi, everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
So through this, I can get in touch with.
Yeah, you can get in touch with me through makeitisalem.com, or you can meet me outside. Sure. Thank you.
So how are the
Come here.
how does the commercials work in this?
What do you mean commercial?
In the sense, like if I want to use it, and what is the cost associated?
So
And how are you going to charge, basically?
okay, so the way the community works is it works on a membership fee. So it's a nominal 1,500 rupees right now, and you get access to the space for the entire month. It's open 7 days a week. We're doing our own things over there, but that's not a sustainable business model.